Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Guys, smash the like button on this video. Hit the subscribe button. Share the video. As always, guys, I've got some breaking news for you. Errol Spence Jr. will be taking on Yordenis Ugas April 16th at the ANTT Stadium. This fight has been talked about for a while now, and we were waiting for an announcement, and finally the announcement comes, and Errol the Truth Spence is finally back. He was supposed to fight the great Manny Pacquiao. Unfortunately, that fight fell through, and Yordenis Ugas got his crack, and Yordenis Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao in great fashion. He surprised me with how well he performed in that fight. I didn't expect him to win. I thought Manny Pacquiao would do a number on him. But you know what? Yordenis Ugas, just like he did in the Porter fight, raised his levels, raised his game, and he won. And I respect to Yordenis Ugas, because Yordenis Ugas, as we know, is not had it easy. He's had to graft and grind and work hard in this pro game. Nothing has been gifted to Yordenis Ugas. And I've got a lot of respect for him. I've got a lot of respect for his skills. I think he's a very, very good boxer. He's not the biggest puncher, but he's a very, very, very highly skilled boxer. And I think what stands him out is the fact that he's a very, very big welterweight. A very, very big welterweight. Yordenis Ugas, special fighter. He's not no... People say that Crawford and Spence are the two top guns, and Yordenis Ugas is an easy. No, he's not. Yordenis Ugas is a really, really, really tough fight for Errol Spence. And I wouldn't be shocked if we do get an upset here. I wouldn't be shocked, because Yordenis Ugas is a very, very good boxer. People will expect Errol Spence to beat him and beat him soundly, but I'm not so convinced. Errol Spence has had a lot in his, he's had a lot in the last couple of years. He's had to go through a lot. He went through that horrific car crash, which obviously we all know was horrific, horrible. That was terrible, and he was lucky to come out that alive. He was lucky to come out of that car accident alive. It was a sickener. And a lot of people thought, his boxing career would be over. But, Errol Spence was well and truly the miracle man. He came back, a year and a bit after? Or was it a year or 2 years after? I think it was a year after. And he fought Danny Garcia. And he beat Danny Garcia emphatically in a fight which a lot of people thought that would be a potential banana skin, especially straight after. A lot of people wouldn't have minded if Errol Spence took a little tune-up, took a little easy fight, but he went straight in to fight Danny Swift Garcia, and he put on a masterclass. Nobody's beaten Danny Garcia the way Errol Spence beat him. But since then, Errol Spence was scheduled to face Manny Pacquiao, and Errol Spence suffered an orbital bone fracture in sparring. Hence, he was out of the fight. And in stepped Yordenis Ugas. So we now have got an Errol Spence that has been very inactive, very, very inactive. And he suffered a horrific car crash, which a lot of people said, well, he came back and beat Danny Garcia. I was still not convinced whether Errol looked 100%. He got through that, and then he's been inactive, and then he was going to face Manny Pacquiao, and he then got injured and suffered the eye socket injury. So we just do not know what Errol Spence has got left. We don't know what Errol Spence is going to turn up against Yordenis Ugas, and I think that's what makes this a very, very interesting and intriguing fight, because I think we'll all agree that if Errol Spence fought Yordenis Ugas at his 100%, we expect Errol Spence to do a job on Yordenis Ugas. But I think we all have to agree this may not be that Errol Spence. This may not be the Errol Spence that that once was. He may be a completely faded version, because of what he's had to go through. And Keith Thurman, unfortunately, he hasn't had to go through what Errol Spence has gone through, but Keith Thurman has also suffered from injuries, has also suffered he's been plagued with injuries. And for me, that's resulted in Keith Thurman dropping, down in the welterweight division and probably not being the force he once was. Keith Thurman, for me, was probably the best welterweight at one point. Not obviously excluding Mayweather and Pacquiao. Keith Thurman was the best welterweight in my opinion. I think he was a dynamite. He had fast hands. He had very serious punching power. He had good movement. Keith Thurman was the man. Keith Thurman was the man. And I just think, unfortunately, Keith Thurman was plagued with injuries and that hurt him. And Errol Spence might be exactly the same, unfortunately. Errol Spence may be in the exact same position where he may not be the same fighter that we know of. And that would be a damn shame because Errol Spence was a special talent. He's a special fighter. And unfortunately, due to the circumstances and due to the stuff that he's had to go through, we just don't know if he's going to be the same guy. We hope that he is the same guy. We hope Errol Spence is that dude, is the same guy that, we saw against Danny Garcia, the one that we saw against Sean Porter, the one that we saw against Kell Brook, the one that we saw against Mikey Garcia, the one that we saw against Lamont Peterson. That was a real bad dude right there. Algieri, that was a real bad dude right there. And now Errol Spence is going to be fighting Yordenis Ugas to add to his legacy and add another title. Let's not forget what this fight means. This fight means that Errol Spence will become a 3-belt holder in the welterweight division if he beats Yordenis Ugas. I wouldn't be shocked if Yordenis Ugas does pull off an upset here. If Yordenis Ugas does win, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't surprise me. I personally have Spence. A slight favorite, but I think it's, for me, a 55-45 type of fight, just because of the fact that Yordenis Ugas is flying. He's been active. He's got the confidence behind him. He's a very good boxer. He's a very good boxer. And I think he could cause Spence all kinds of trouble. But again, has he got the power? Probably not. And that might be the difference, the power that Errol Spence has got. Errol Spence can push you back. I think this is going to be a very interesting fight. I think Errol Spence at his best, I would firmly pick Errol Spence to win. But we don't know if this is Errol Spence at his best. For the last couple of years, Errol Spence has gone through a car crash. He's, then suffered an eye socket injury. And now he's been inactive. He hasn't been in the ring. So we don't know what we're going to get with Errol Spence because Errol Spence has been out for so long. When did he fight Danny Garcia? Did he fight Danny Garcia in 2020? So it's been 1.5 years out of the ring, and then he suffered an eye socket injury. So how many fights So when did he have the car crash? Was that 2019? When was that? That was a long time ago, wasn't it? When did he have a car crash? That was in September. Was it 2020 or 2019? So in the last couple of years, he's only fought twice. He fought Danny Garcia. But this is going to be, so last probably 3.5, 4 years, he's probably only fought twice. That's a long time. That's a long time out the ring. Where he didn't fight last year. Yeah, he didn't fight last year at all. He didn't have any fight last year. So that last year went by. Then he fought Danny Garcia. Fought Sean Porter the year before that. So yeah, man, he's not had hardly any fights. So since since Sean Porter, that must have been 2019. So in almost 3 years, he's had 2 fights, man. That's not good for a guy of that, champion of that caliber to only be that inactive, and then obviously had to go through what he's got to go through. The toll that's taken out on his body. We just don't know. We just don't know what's left of Errol Spence. What I will say there is this: if Errol Spence beats Yordenis Ugas, please, can we get Crawford and Errol in the ring? Please, can we get Crawford and Errol Spence in the ring? I think every boxing fan wants to see that fight really badly. They want to see Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight. And I think it's got to the point now where these two just need to get in the ring and fight. It'd be a massive fight. It'd be for the undisputed welterweight championship of the world. There's no way that, anyone can say that. Errol Spence said that he's going to collect all the belts from his side of the pond. and then he's going to fight Terence Crawford. These are Errol Spence's words. These are Errol Spence's words. Once I collect all the belts, I'm going to then come and collect Terence Crawford's belt because I want to be an undisputed welterweight champion. So let's see if Errol Spence is true to his word and Errol Spence does, after that fight, Terence Crawford. I have my doubts, and I tell you why I have my doubts, because I have my doubts from the business side of things. Firstly, I'm not sure whether they're going to come to terms in terms of splits. Secondly, I don't think this fight makes economical sense, because I don't think the money that these two would want, I don't think that the pay-per-view could generate the numbers that will warrant these guys getting paid what they would want to be paid for this fight. Hence why I don't think the fight happens. I can't see this fight happening, just because I don't think economically the fight makes sense. I don't think financially PBC, although they're going to be able to make enough money from this fight, and hence why I don't think this fight happens, which is a damn shame, which is horrible for boxing and horrible for us boxing fans. But unfortunately, that's just the way I see it. I just can't see how this fight happens, which I hope I'm wrong. I hope this fight between Crawford and Spence does eventually happen, if Errol Spence can beat Yordenis Ugas. I think if Yordenis Ugas wins, I think the Terence Crawford-Yordenis Ugas fight becomes a lot easier to make. I think Yordenis Ugas would fight Crawford with a heartbeat, and Errol Spence would just move up. I can't see him rematching Yordenis Ugas. I think he'll just move up. So yeah, if he was to lose, Errol Spence to Ugas. So a lot of people may say that it might be good if Ugas wins, because for the division, so we get to see an undisputed fight, which we might not do with Crawford and Spence, which would, I think if they don't fight, I think both their legacies will be hurt a little bit, and Errol Spence's legacy might be hurt a little bit more, because people may look at him as the guy that was ducking Crawford. So let's see how this all plays out. But guys, what do you make of Yordenis Ugas v Errol Spence? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.